Hi, I'm Dave Wallace. I'm the Research Director at the Washington State Workforce Training Board, and my role here is just to walk you through some of the slides and data points that we've put together in anticipation of the Rural Community Vitality Forum. The purpose of it is to give you some background and also to show you the data that we're seeing. And ideally, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear whether this coincides with the experience you're having on the ground or if it doesn't. The Washington State economy at the moment is red hot. In the most recent year available, the gross domestic product has grown by 5.8% in our state. This compares to the national rate of 2.9%, about half of that. But we all know that this growth is not proportionate, it's not the same everywhere. And we can look at some gross domestic product data available at the local level. Though it's not quite as recent. This GDP data was, you can see, the data was released as February of this year, and it's looking at 2018 data. For Grant County, we can get a snapshot of gross domestic product. The county ranked 12th overall in our state out of 39 counties, so it was actually pretty good growth rate. And the year-over-year growth rate, 2014 to 2015, was 7.4%. However, if we look at earnings, you can see that they are somewhat below that of the state as a whole. The median earner in the Central and Columbia Basin area earns about 25% less than they do at the state as a whole. Back in 2012, you can see it was 35,000 compared to 26,000. In 2017, there was growth on both sides. Now it's 40,000 to about 30,000. You can also look at average payrolls, and there is some more divergence there, perhaps driven up by the high wages you see in the Central Puget Sound. In 2017, in Grant County, the average payroll was about 40% less than it was at the state level. Unemployment rates in the region were also higher than that of the Central Puget Sound. You can see for Grant County it was about 9.4%. One note on this is February data, and it's not seasonally adjusted. So it's fairly safe to assume that if we were to seasonally adjust it, had that been available, it would be lower. However, the fact does remain there's higher unemployment rates in this region than particularly King County, you can see, is 3.5%. Poverty rates are high for the region, though not the highest. You can see that in Kittitas County, the poverty rate was closing on 20%, whereas it's about 16% in Grant County. What this is a percentage of residents that live in households that are below a set threshold level. That threshold level is pretty low. Just to give you some background information, for a household of one, I think it's just over $12,000 a year. So what we are talking about, say in the case of Kittitas, we're talking about nearly 1 in 5 persons are living in these really, low-income households. 15.1% of youth in this region are what we consider to be disconnected. And what that means is that they are neither in school nor are they working. This is not the highest rate in the state. In fact, it is below the state mean at 16.4%. However, it is any amount of this, anything closing in on that 16% is problematic because of what it shows or doesn't show about our future workforce. This is a tree chart showing you two different data points about the industry makeup in the region. One is that based on the color, you can see that the lighter color, the higher wages, the darker color, the lower wages. The second thing is the size of the box. So for example, take a look at government. It is the largest employer in the state. You can see by the size of the box, and it's a relatively high-paying industry. Contrast that with agriculture, which is the second largest industry, but it's quite a low-paying one. Manufacturing is large and high-paying. Accommodation and retail are both important to the economy, but they are at the lower scale of pay. This slide shows you the top 20 jobs in the northeastern and north central part of Washington. Currently, the top occupation is cashiers, followed by laborers and material movers, then cooks, drivers, and elementary and middle school teachers. Of course, that's the current occupational makeup. We do know that things will change, and perhaps rapidly, and to speak on that, I have with us Joe Wilcox of our Future Work Task Force.
So some of the many issues we're exploring with our Future of Work Task Force are the disruptive effects of automation and artificial intelligence on the economy, the workforce, and the relationship between employees and employers. The introduction of new technology is changing the nature of work across all occupations, as tasks traditionally done by people are now being carried out by machines. In the case of northeastern and north central Washington, these effects on the top 5 occupations will be varied. According to a methodology developed by McKinsey Global Institute, 49% of the tasks cashiers perform can be automated. For laborers and material movers, only 7% of these tasks are currently automatable. 84% of a cook's activities can be automated, along with 79% for drivers, and between 15 and 21% for elementary and middle school teachers. So the takeaway from this is not that robots are going to replace humans en masse in the near future, but that the nature of jobs as a whole will change as an increasing amount of tasks within an occupation become automated.
The next 2 charts will show you the Washington State and compared to the local regional labor force, divided by age and gender, to show you that the makeup. And you can see in this slide, which is Washington State, the largest group now is the 25 to 29-year-olds. What we're seeing is this millennials are starting to take over in to become the largest component of our workforce from baby boomers. By contrast, the local economy is even more younger. It's even more skewed toward this 20 to 24-year-old group. It also tends to be more male than the state as a whole. The next 2 slides will show you what we intuitively understand, that there is a pretty high payoff to having higher educational attainment. In this chart, we're showing you Washington State versus the regional area and incomes based on how much the level of educational attainment. In this case, we're looking at unemployment, so it's an inverse. It's a mirror effect of what we just saw. We're seeing that in virtually every case, the unemployment rate falls as we have higher educational attainment, and that pattern holds both for the state and the local area. The next 2 slides show ethnic breakout based on wages and then unemployment. Because of the small sample size, we did roll up ethnic groups, so you can see we're only showing Hispanic, multiple race, and then white. Generally speaking, you can see that Hispanics tend to have lower income, whites tend to have a higher income, though that pattern didn't necessarily hold in the case of multiple for the local region. And again, we see something of the inverse or mirror of the previous chart. We're showing you unemployment rates. Whites in each case have a lower unemployment rate than multiple and Hispanics. So that's it for our data snapshot. Once again, we appreciate you following along, listening to this, and we would certainly love to hear from you. For general data questions, please contact me. You can see my email address there. For future work questions, please contact Joe Wilcox or Lou McMurran. Thanks.